Before we go back to where their journey begins, take a moment to look at what these ducks eventually become part of. Across Vietnam's rice-growing countryside, massive flocks like this can spend much of their lives moving from one field to another. Instead of being kept inside a barn, these free-range ducks are guided across open rice fields, canals, and rural waterways, following their farmers wherever good feeding grounds can be found. After the rice harvest, the fields can still hold plenty for a hungry flock to discover. The ducks spread out across the muddy ground, constantly searching, pecking, and exploring as thousands of birds feed together. But keeping a flock this large on the move takes experience. The farmers have to watch where the ducks are going, keep them together, and guide them from one feeding area to the next. Sometimes that means walking along narrow paths. Sometimes it means crossing canals, or moving the entire flock to another field. And when thousands of ducks begin moving together, the landscape itself seems to come alive. This is the life these birds are growing toward, a life spent outdoors, following the fields and moving with the flock. But here's the remarkable part. Every duck you see out there, no matter how large the flock becomes, started its journey in exactly the same way. Before the rice fields, before the waterways, and before thousands of ducks could move together as one, there was just a single egg. So let's go back to the beginning and see where the next generation starts. Every massive flock begins here. Long before these ducks ever see an open rice field, the next generation starts quietly with the laying of an egg. For the farmers, collecting those eggs becomes another part of the daily routine. One by one, they are gathered from the laying areas and handled carefully before being moved on to the next stage. A single egg may not look like much, but when you're preparing the next generation of a flock that could eventually number in the thousands, those eggs quickly begin to add up. Basket after basket, tray after tray, what starts as a simple morning collection becomes the foundation of an entirely new flock. And from this moment on, the journey changes. These eggs will no longer follow the adult ducks across the rice fields. Instead, they are about to enter a carefully managed process designed to give new life the best possible start. But there's one important question first. Not every egg will successfully develop into a healthy duckling. So before thousands of new ducks can hatch, the farmers need to know what's actually happening inside these shells. The eggs have now left the rice fields behind, but their journey is only beginning. Before they can move on to the next stage, they need to be carefully handled and organized. One by one, the eggs are checked and arranged into trays, turning what began as a daily collection into rows upon rows of potential new life. When you're working with a flock this large, the scale quickly becomes impressive. A few eggs become dozens, dozens become hundreds, and before long, entire trays are filled and ready for the next step. But from the outside, these eggs don't reveal very much. They may look almost identical, yet what's happening inside can be completely different. Some may be developing normally, while others may show no signs of development at all. And that's why one of the most fascinating parts of the entire process comes next. With nothing more than a bright light and a darkened space, farmers can get a glimpse of what's happening beneath the shell. For the first time, we'll be able to look inside these eggs and see whether the next generation of ducks is beginning to take shape. For anyone seeing this for the first time, this may be one of the most fascinating stages of the entire journey. From the outside, an egg gives away almost nothing. But place it in front of a bright light, and suddenly, an entirely different world begins to appear beneath the shell. This process is known as candling. As each egg is held against the light, the farmer can look for visible signs of development inside. Depending on the stage of incubation, you may notice darker areas, delicate blood vessels, or the growing shape hidden within the egg. And when hundreds or even thousands of eggs need to be checked, this becomes a careful, repetitive job. Each egg is picked up, examined for only a few moments, and then moved along before the next one takes its place. What looks like a simple shell from the outside may already contain the beginnings of a new duck. If this is the first time you've ever seen a duck egg checked like this, type 1 in the comments. If you've seen egg candling before, type 2. And this is where our journey becomes even more interesting. The eggs showing signs of development still have a long way to go. They need time, stable conditions, and careful management before anything begins to break through those shells. Soon, rows of eggs will enter the incubator, where the transformation taking place inside will continue largely hidden from view. And eventually, one tiny crack will tell us that the waiting is almost over. After days inside the incubator, the first ducklings are finally beginning to hatch. One by one, they break through their shells and enter the outside world for the very first time. Within a short period, trays once filled with eggs are now crowded with tiny ducklings. They're still small and unsteady, but this is the beginning of a completely new stage in their lives. Soon, they'll be moved to a growing area where they'll receive the food, water, and care they need, before eventually joining much larger flocks. Once the ducklings have hatched, they enter one of the most important stages of their lives. They are kept together in large groups where farmers can easily provide food, clean water, and monitor their condition. With thousands of ducklings in one place, keeping the growing area clean and making sure every bird has access to food and water becomes part of the daily routine. At this stage, they're still completely different from the large free-range ducks we saw earlier. But they grow quickly, becoming stronger and more active every day. And before long, they'll be ready to leave this protected environment and begin experiencing life outdoors. As the ducklings grow, they become stronger, more active, and much easier to recognize as part of a flock. They begin moving together in larger groups and gradually spend more time outdoors, exploring water and open ground. This is an important transition for ducks that will eventually be raised in the rice fields. As they continue to grow, following the flock becomes a natural part of their daily routine. Soon, these young ducks will leave the protected growing area behind and begin the free-range life we saw at the beginning of our journey, moving together across Vietnam's rice fields in flocks of thousands. As the ducks continue to grow, they're finally ready to leave the protected growing area and begin a very different stage of life. This is when the farmers start bringing them out to the open fields, where they'll gradually become part of the large free-range flocks we saw at the beginning of the video. Moving thousands of ducks requires experience and patience. The farmers guide them along narrow paths, across small roads, and through canals as the entire flock moves together toward the next feeding area. Once they reach the rice fields, the ducks quickly spread out and begin searching for food. Harvested fields can provide plenty for them to explore, including leftover grain and other natural food they find along the way. Instead of spending their lives in one enclosed location, these ducks can continue moving between different fields as the farmers search for suitable places for the flock to forage. And this is where the entire journey finally connects. The eggs we saw being collected were carefully checked and incubated. Those eggs became tiny ducklings, and after weeks of growing and care, those ducklings are now becoming part of these enormous flocks. Soon, they'll spend their days moving across rice fields and waterways, just like the adult ducks that came before them. And eventually, some will produce the eggs that begin another generation. From egg to duckling, to thousands of ducks moving together across the fields, the cycle begins all over again. And that completes the journey. From eggs collected on the farm, through incubation and hatching, to tiny ducklings growing into large free-range flocks. Every stage plays a part in keeping the cycle going. Before long, another generation will begin, and thousands more ducks will make their way back to Vietnam's rice fields. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed seeing the complete life cycle of these ducks, subscribe to Lam-farmer for more farming documentaries from Vietnam and around the world. I'll see you in the next video.